We begin in Myanmar, where thousands of people have defied threats of violence to take part in a new day of protests against the country's military rulers. This comes a day after police fired live ammunition to disperse protesters in the city of Mandalay, killing at least 2 people and injuring several others. The crowds were forced to flee as security forces chased after them using slingshots, rubber bullets, and water cannon. The protesters were repeating their call for an end to military rule after a coup nearly 3 weeks ago.
They return despite the risk. The reality now crystal clear for these demonstrators after police killed 2 more people with live ammunition on Saturday. It was the worst violence since mass rallies began weeks ago. Past uprisings against the military have failed. These demonstrators want them gone for good. I remember my parents fought against the military coup during the 1988 revolution, and I too have to stand against this dictatorship. If we fail to stand against them this time, our next generation will live under the military dictatorship. So we can't stop this time. I want to say, through the media, to the dictator and his henchmen, we are peaceful demonstrators. Stop the genocide. Stop using lethal weapons. But they can't go it alone. Protesters are appealing to the international community for solidarity. The number of people has increased today, and we will not stop. We will keep going till we reach our goal of democracy. We want other countries to take more severe actions than sanctions. On Sunday, Facebook deleted the military's page for inciting violence following Saturday's deadly crackdown. The killings have only strengthened the protesters' resolve. They hope that this time, perhaps, they can free Myanmar from a military that refuses to relinquish power.
Journalist Dave Grunenbaum is following developments in Myanmar from Malaysia's capital, Kuala Lumpur, and he joins us now for the latest. Hello to you, Dave. So more protests today. People seem undeterred by yesterday's fatal clashes with the riot police. What are you hearing on the ground in Myanmar?
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing video. Thousands of demonstrators out on the streets in Yangon today, out on the streets in Mandalay today. Again, these deaths that happened yesterday, this fatal incident, it is just becoming a rallying cry for the demonstrators. I've spoken to people in Yangon, the biggest city, since yesterday's fatal incident, and they tell me that they are just rallying behind these people. They see them as absolute martyrs, and it's just adding more fuel to the protest movement. They have no intention of backing down. The people are just out in force. And it's not just in Mandalay and Yangon. We talk a lot about them because they're the 2 biggest cities, as well as Naypyidaw, the capital. But there are people demonstrating in cities, towns, and small villages across the country.
Now, much of the international community has condemned the deadly force used by the military against protesters. But, Dave, are we going to see any further consequences? I mean, is there going to be anything more than declarations?
Yeah, so we're seeing, sanctions that are coming from the West, economic sanctions, targeted economic sanctions at certain generals and military-aligned businesses. But here's the thing. The generals were prepared for this before they went forward with the military coup. They knew that there would be sanctions coming from the West. To really have any chance to get the generals to reverse course, you're going to have to get some Asian countries on board. China would be a big player in this because China's got some leverage, but they show no signs of wanting to pressure the generals to reverse course. They've called for no violence. They've called for the release of Aung San Suu Kyi and other leaders who've been put under house arrest or locked up. But they don't seem to want to be able to, they show no signs of pressuring the generals to make changes. When it comes to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, again, they're calling for no violence, but they tend to have a policy of non-interference in each other's internal affairs. So without pressure from some Asian countries, there seems to be little hope that the generals would reverse course.
Journalist Dave Grunbaum, thank you so much for your reporting.